Greetings, welcome to the channel Northworthy Sagas and Stories. I'm a host, Braggy Magnuson. Now today in this video I'm going to talk about what does it mean to be a Norse pagan. Now I'm a Norse pagan, but what does it mean? So in this video you're going to have some interesting talk. This is an unscripted video. I'm going to talk about my views personally as a Norse and Viking pagan. What does it mean to be one? Now, I think first of all, what is a Norse pagan? Well, a Norse pagan is somebody that follows the belief of the northern people of Scandinavia. They worship the gods Odin, Thor, Freya, Frigg, and many of the others, including some of them, and some of us do worship Loki. I personally don't. I don't worship the trickster god, but I do worship Thor, and I do worship Odin, and I do try to live my life honouring the gods, because I find that to be important. And Norse paganism, it is a family, it is a brotherhood, it is a sisterhood. We are kin, and we have been kin throughout time. We have never disappeared. I know the Vikings converted to Christianity, and that kind of worked for a while, but we have never disappeared, because there has always been people that still practice the old ways. We are still here, and we are here now in more numbers than ever before. I often do think about this, Are there more Norse pagans these days than there were back in the times of the Vikings? I expect that is true, because people are seeking an answer to the big old question about faith. And faith is an important thing, whether you believe in something or not. And people are seeking that ancestral path, the way their ancestors 1,000 or 2,000 years ago worshipped. And so this is why paganism is fastly on the rise. In fact, I do believe it's one of the fastest faiths growing in Europe and possibly the world. And I think that's so true. Now, I'm very proud to be a Norse pagan. I'm also a shaman as well, which is another issue we'll talk about in another video. And as I said, this video is unscripted. I've got no piece of paper in front of me saying I've got to talk about this, I've got to talk about that. I'm just going to tell you what I think. So, whenever I meet Norse pagans, they're always wonderful, wonderful people. Although, I'll tell you a little story. About a few weeks ago, I was in one of my local pubs. And I saw a guy wearing a Thor's hammer. And I thought to myself, got to be a Norse pagan. And sometimes if I see somebody wearing a Thor's hammer, I'll go and introduce myself, because I think that's only right and fair within the brotherhood and sisterhood of who we are as a people, to say hello. But I couldn't find the chap. He must have been in his early 20s. And then by chance I was walking back home to where I live. I've had a nice 2-3 pints of ale. Don't often go out, it's a rare treat. And I saw this chap at a petrol station. So I said, hello, are you a Norse pagan? He said, oh no mate, I just wear it for fun. And I thought to myself, you wearing a Thor's hammer for fun? Well, fair enough. But do you not I didn't really go into it with him, but in my mind I was thinking, well, does he not really understand what that represents, wearing a Thor's hammer? And I hope, it does give him strength, because let's face it, Thor is a wonderful god. Do you have to be a Norse pagan to wear Thor's hammer? Well, of course not. This is a free world and we welcome freedom, and we need freedom more than ever, which is a whole entire subject. And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. But I thought that was quite fascinating. So I quickly said hello, and he said, are you a Norse pagan? I said, no. I said, oh, fair enough. Have a great day, mate. And I carried on walking home. But what does it mean to be Norse? Now, I often, in the videos, on the channel, describe myself, and on TikTok, as a Viking pagan, which is slightly a wrong term. But the reason why I do this is simply because a lot of people have just not heard of the term Norse. If you type in Norse in an SEO search engine and look for the results of how popular the term Norse, I nearly said Norse, compared to Viking, you'll see Viking has a much larger following than the word Norse. Although, yes, Viking is a way of life, to be Norse isn't a way of life. It's your kin and your ancestral path to honour the gods, to honour Thor, and I find that particularly fascinating. Now, do the gods still walk on Middle Earth today, like they did in the sagas? Because we often hear accounts of Thor and especially Odin in disguise walking about and getting up to things like putting swords in trees or so forth, and giving wisdom to people and making people come together. Do they walk about on Earth today? I expect they probably do. what kind of form would they walk in? Because some people say, well, why not walk in the form of a, if you're a god, are you going to appear as a human? Well, I expect that they do appear in human figure. And of course, Odin was always known to be wearing a grey cloak and have a long beard and have a staff, from my recollection from the sagas. And I also find that to be quite fascinating. But I also find it from the opposite point of view from Christianity, that there are one or two tales of Jesus also coming back alive and walking on earth and going around having little adventures, like turning a woman into an owl. Or another story about Jesus is he knocks on the door, an old woman's ass, wanting some food. And he said, what, you're boiling in your kettle, in your cauldron? He said, oh, stones. He said, what do you mean you're boiling stones? He said, well, I haven't got no food, so I'm just pretending for the kids. Well, she turned away and looked back at the food, and suddenly it was just full of peas. Some people would call that a miracle. So it's not just within Norse culture that our gods walk and talk about and meet people on planet Earth, on Earth. So to be Norse pagan is a wonderful thing. Now, can anybody be a Norse pagan? Now, some people on the very right side of Norse paganism would say, well, no. And you can also get the other extreme point of view that some people will say, well, if you're not from Scandinavia, then you can't be a Norse pagan. And I think that is terribly, terribly wrong. I think anybody, no matter where you come from on this planet, no matter what faith you've had in the past, what upbringing you come from, what country you come from, if you believe in the Norse gods and you want to be a Norse pagan, then yes, you can be a Norse pagan. And we must welcome anybody that wants to be a Norse pagan within to the family. Because the more of us there is, the better we are off, and the better we can change the planet and make it a better place, peacefully. And I do believe that. Because, we're at a very difficult time in society, in human society. And let's face it, there's lots of terrible things going on. So we need to practice goodness, and we need to practice kindness. And I often say to people, no matter what your faith is, whether you're, a Christian or you have another faith, the most important thing to me is two things. It's one, you practice goodness, and two, you practice kindness, and you actually do that in your life. I'm a very kind and decent person. I care about people. I can tell you another story. Last night, I had another rare occasion when I went out and had some beer. I had some beer actually with a fan of the channel, who shall remain nameless for many reasons, but he's a very, very nice chap. And he brought me lots of beer, and I kept on trying to buy him a beer. And he refused. He said, no, I like to see Braggy get drunk. Well, it takes a lot of beer to get me drunk, at least 10, 12 pints. Because I'm well practiced and I do like my ale now and again. On a good day, I can drink quite a lot. So, I met this fan. He's actually a friend of mine as well. So he's not just a fan of the channel. We became good friends. And he's a very, very nice, lovely man. And, we had a bit of a chat and a few beers. And when we got to about a 6th, 7th beer, we kind of got to the limit. That's enough beer for me. He got to get back home, and so do I. And I was walking back home. I thought, I'm a bit hungry. I'll go and get a pizza. I don't often go and get a takeaway, but I thought, I'll go and get a large pepperoni pizza. So I did this. I was walking up the road where I live to get home. I had 2.5 miles to go. And I heard a massive scream and shout going, oh, bloody hell, it's Andy. That's my real name. And I saw an old friend of mine called Paul, who I'd not seen for a while. And he was like, the biggest smile came on his face because he said, he always said, you're the most amazing person I've ever met in my life, And he said, you've been such an influence and I really, really missed you, mate. I said, oh, how you been doing? He said, I'm not going through good times. I split up with my girlfriend at the moment, so we're not living together, and I'm in a kind of a situation where I'm just sleeping on my friend's sofas. So we sat down, I shared half my pizza with him because I can't see a man who's not had much food today go without some food. So I shared my meal because that's what you do when you're kind. You look after the people that are suffering in society. And this is what is also important about Norse paganism, is that we look after each other and we look after the vulnerable and the people that need help. So I shared half my pizza. I then went and bought him a beer. We sat down, had a little bit of a chat, and see how he is. I just tried to give him some of my positivity to say, keep battling on, because he was getting to the stage. I think he's getting to the stage where he's just giving up, and some people do. And I said, well, don't give up, mate, because he's a really, really strong person, in physically. He really is. He'll be fantastic on the shield wall. So I brought him a beer, we had a chat, and I gave him a bit of my positivity. And said, just keep battling on, because I trust me, things will all improve for you, and you will get better. But you also got to help yourselves. Now, an old saying my old dad used to say, I help those that help themselves. So I bought him a beer. I had a £5 in my pocket, that's £5 British pounds, and I gave him that, and I wished him good luck, and hopefully he'll be on the rise. But so Norse paganism is also about helping people. It is about honouring the gods. Because as a modern Viking and Norse person, how do we enter Valhalla today? One of the questions I often think about. One of the reasons why I'm here on camera now. Because let's face it, we can't exactly all get together and just go and say, well, let's go and build 100 longships, somewhere in the UK or Scandinavia. Let's all sail down south and raid Frankie again. Or, go to the Mediterranean and go and raid Rome or whatever. We can't really do that anymore. We can't do that anymore. That's not the way of the world we live in. And I know that it'll be very, very fun and lots of people will be up for it. But we can't do that. We can't live the same way the Vikings did, in the sense of having a good death by dying in battle. So how do we honour the gods? How do we get into Valhalla? So from my perspective, thinking about YouTube for a long time, because I've been a YouTuber for many years, I kind of thought to myself, well, I'll invade YouTube. Hopefully with good, decent content, which just gets better over time. So this is why we're here now at Norseworthy Sagas and Stories. It's one of the many reasons, I say, not few, one of the many. Another one is legacy, because as a Viking, we want word fame. We want to be remembered when we die, and we want to try to change the world in a positive, peaceful way, so that, yes, what we do in our lives, the way we affect our friends and our family and our fellow Norse pagans is positive, and we move forward. So this is why I came up with this idea of the channel. Another reason was because there at the time was a massive gap in the market back in 2016, 2017, when not a lot of people were dressing as Vikings and doing what we was doing. And I wanted the channel to be about storytelling, because there was all these wonderful stories from the sagas, which I personally don't tell too often. I kind of left that to the mighty Tyr Thorkelson, because you always got to say that with emphasis, because that just suits his character, because he's a strong character and he's a lovely speaker. I mean, he really is, wasted doing his current job when he should be narrating things on TV and, talking about history more on YouTube, because he's got such fantastic knowledge. And of course, since then we had the age of Egil Thorson, and we continued talking on our journey as Norse pagans, because, Egil was a very proud Norse pagan. He worshipped the gods. And I found out recently he actually got buried and not cremated, because I was told wrong by one of his friends that he was buried, and I found out where he's buried, and he'd taken some grave goods with him. I don't think the sea axe I gave to his friend, which was meant to be buried with him, got buried with him, so I kind of feel a bit like, well, that's not quite right what happened there, but that's another story. But so again, and so many people these days have Viking burials. Lots of people get buried at sea. I was talking to a woman yesterday saying, oh, my uncle got buried at sea when he died in the Navy. I thought, oh, wow, that's quite amazing. So people have Viking burials, people have little longships built and the ashes put on them and sent off, and some people get buried with some grave goods like a Thor's hammer, a can of beer, if you smoke you may have a packet of cigarettes and a bit of hat silver, or if you're lucky and they're allowed to have a knife in the grave, you can go with a good old sea axe. So yes, and the thing is, like I said, we've not disappeared. We're stronger than ever, and Norse paganism is on the rise. So I find that to be fascinating within itself, and we're very proud as people. I always go out, always try to wear the Thor's hammer, because I want people to know that I'm a Norse pagan, simply by saying, oh yeah, you're wearing the Thor's hammer, you must worship the gods of Thor and Odin. But a lot of people just do not know about Norse paganism. So we need to go out in the communities. We need to tell people the stories of the gods, because they're wonderful stories and they all have a lesson to learn. So as a family, we need to go out, and I'm not saying we need to go out and convert people, no, because let's face it, conversion doesn't really work, because the Christians tried to convert the Vikings, and they did successfully. They became Christian, but some of the ways they converted pagans was, well, in my mind, pretty disgusting, and forcing people to convert, and that's a whole entire subject, which I may think about covering in the future. But yeah, conversion hasn't worked, because we're here now in larger numbers. And don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against Christianity. I still consider myself partly Christian equally as much as I consider myself to be a pagan and a Norse pagan. And it's funny how we have some of the same values. Like, we don't like people that steal. We don't like people that go around murdering people. We don't like people that cheat on their wives and commit adultery. So some of the Ten Commandments are quite kind of familiar in the Norse world in my mind. Well, I may be wrong on that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video, and I really would love to read your comments as well. And if you're a Norse pagan, then, you know, leave me a good old emoji of an axe or a shield or a sword, you know, because that's also a good way for you to communicate. And if you found this video to be entertaining, if you found it to be, you know, a fascinating video in the sense of coming across as a Norse pagan, then please do consider subscribing to us, because you will be rewarded with better content, with more content, and with content in the future that will deliver a promise of educating you, entertaining you, and leaving you with the thought of, oh, I want to watch more of these videos, which is what I hope this channel does. So yes, so I think I know will, you know, think about a summary. I can't think of a word there. So what is a Norse pagan? A Norse pagan is somebody that follows the old gods of the Vikings and the Scandinavians. So that's Thor and Frigg and Freya and Loki, and of course the All-Father Odin. Of course, to us Anglo-Saxon pagans, Woden and Thunar. And it's a shame we've lost some of that information from the early Anglo-Saxon culture that worshipped the older gods. But, you know, hopefully in time we'll discover more and we'll find out more. And can anybody be a Norse pagan? Well, yes, in my mind, anybody can be a Norse pagan. If you're a strong character, if you've got a good heart and you're kind and caring, then that will suit you down to the ground. Are more people becoming Norse pagans? Well, yes, more people than ever are becoming Norse pagans. And I love that fact. And we are a growing family, and we are family, we are kin. We do care about each other. We do love one and each other. We can't quite say that then. We do love each other in the sense of love being a wonderful thing. It's a gift from the gods, like humour, like laughter. So embrace your northern family, you know, your Norse family, and be kind to the world and be kind to yourself as well, because a lot of people like myself some days will put others before themselves. But sometimes in life you need to find that little bit of time for yourself, because it's all a part of the healing process. And let's face it, within the world we live, which at the moment isn't the best place that we are in humanity, we need to move forward in a positive way, in a peaceful way, to make the world a better place, to make Middle Earth a wonderful, wonderful place in the future for the next generations. And there's room for everybody, whether you're Norse pagan or not. Like I said, if you practice goodness and kindness, that's the most important thing. If you have faith or don't have faith, that's fine. Shamanism kind of answers the question to all of that, because it's about belief. And it's about faith, whether you believe or not. And it's about practicing those two most important things of goodness and kindness. Be kind to yourself and be kind to other people. Now, we are the channel Northworthy Sagas and Stories. And I just want to say thank you for watching this video. Like I said, it's one of these unscripted videos. So I hope it's been entertaining for you. I hope that you've learned something. And above all, I hope that you come back and watch us again in the next video, where I could be talking about Viking helmets and Saxon helmets. I could be talking about food. I could be dancing in a funny meme video. We do have a lot of variety of content on the channel because I'm exploring that aspect of YouTube. And above all, I just want to say thank you for being here. And thank you for being my friend, because you truly have been a wonderful, wonderful family to me over these last, well, 7 or 8 years. You certainly kept me going. And where would we be without this channel? And where would the future be without positive people like myself? And you guys, and girls, let's not forget the ladies on the channel, even though I think only about 9% of the audience is female that watches. It's all about family, and it's all about love, and it's all about moving forward in a positive manner. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Bragi. And of course, Bragi is the Viking god of poetry. I am a poet, and I often write poetry for my girlfriend because I love her so much, and she loves the little sonnets I write for her. And I wrote her one this morning when I woke up. So that's really nice, and that will cheer her up and give her a bit more energy, because she's going through her own little battles. But that's between me and her, and that's something we won't go into on the channel because that's personal. Yeah, I just want to see you guys, you know, just move forward in a positive light. So please subscribe to the channel. Please do watch our content. I can certainly recommend the content of Tyrkir Thorkelson, the funny stories of Egil, the stories where me and Egil Thorson told stories together, and I tried my hardest not to laugh my head off whilst narrating stories. We talked about Viking weapons and Anglo-Saxon weapons. We talked about faith. We've danced to videos. We've done so many things, and we're going to do so many things in the future. So goodbye, and I thank you for watching and getting to the end of this video. You're awesome. Yes. Goodbye.